Welcome back. And so the Nigerian social media space watched with horror over the weekend as youths of Ozoro community were on rampage. We saw mostly they were running towards girls, and harassing them. There were some very disturbing videos of a young lady being stripped naked, by some youths. And we saw a narrator in one of those videos talking about how what was going on was a rape festival, and that if you looked around, there were no girls around, and that the resolve was if there was any girl seen, the girl was going to be raped. Now, there have been several reactions and responses to this particular event. We've heard the Palace of Ozoro release a statement that the community does not support violence against women. But is that explanation adequate? Does it address the many questions that arise about culture, about convention, and about how women are perceived in this particular Delta community? And what is the security agent doing in Delta State about this? And let's have this very important conversation now. And joining us on the program to look at this is the police spokesperson from Delta State, Mr. Bright Edafe, who joins us virtually this morning on the program. So welcome, Mr. Edafe, first of all.
Thank you for having me. Good morning.
Yes, we've heard a lot of, explanations as to what may have transpired, but what has the intervention of the State Police Command looked like so far since Friday when that video emerged? And what explanation can you provide to us about the intervention that you have provided?
It's very unfortunate that everyone in the police, including the top hierarchy of the police force, is so saddened this event. However, having done the initial arrest, because the chief priest, who happens to be the head of the community, was initially arrested alongside 4 others. Then, having gone through the video analysis, that is the trending footages, some people were also identified and were arrested additional 11. That's making it a total of 16 suspects that are presently in custody, and they'll be transferred to the state command headquarters to be duly investigated by the DC State CID himself. Then that was not just it. Yesterday being Sunday, the Commissioner of Police, the DC Operations, and myself, and some members of the command management team, we were at Ozoro yesterday. We were in the Palace of His Royal Majesty. We also went to the community, Oramudu community in Ozoro there, and for an on-the-spot assessment. And 4 of the victims that was arrested were also at the palace, and the CP had a one-on-one with them. The state government, being represented by the local government chairman, assured them that their health, the damages to their phones, money taken away from them, the state government has taken over, and they will ensure that they are paid back. And that's not just it. They also contracted the service of a psychologist who would also come and talk to them to see that they go through this phase of trauma and come out of it hale and hearty.
Now, I envisage that your investigations have commenced in earnest, and those you've arrested, questions are being asked as you debrief them. I wonder if part of those questions would be that, is there anything like a rape festival in Ozoro? And what we're hearing is that there was actually a festival ongoing, and there was supposed to have been notices to members of the community that there was going to be a festival. What is the nature of that festival that requires people to be informed? I mean, if there's a festival that traditionally take place in a particular community, it should be known to all, and there should be some form of preparation for everyone. So what is the nature of that festival? Does it require that women or young girls do not come out during that particular festival?
All right. It is important to state clear that among the 4 girls that was interviewed yesterday, not one of them said they were raped. And up to this very moment, we've not had any official reports that anybody was raped. That's aside. Then it was not a rape festival. It was a festival that was done by the chief priest to pray for barren women, for them to have fruit of the womb. That was the intention. However, for reasons best known to them, the traditional ruler of Ozoro Kingdom was not informed. The student union was not even informed because they know it's a student community. So they are supposed to inform the school management. They did not do that, and they did not inform the police. And that is why the chief priest is presently in our custody, because his negligence has led to this embarrassment, has led to this assault, sexual assault on these innocent girls. And that's why they are presently in custody. However, it was not a rape festival.
So while this matter was going on and a lot of Nigerians were shocked, a lot of people are still, you know, just mentally disturbed by the visuals, seeing helpless ladies being stripped. But you have said that there is no official report of a rape. Now, while all of that was going on, the online space was also shocked. So you put out a statement. There was a reply or response to that statement by social media user Rino Douala, saying that you're still waiting to assure instead of already arresting people. And then she went on to say, bright way, no bright. And then you replied and said, whenever I issue a statement, it turns you on. Why, if I may ask? And that led to another round of back and forth. Why did you use that statement, particularly in this context? A lot of people saw you sexualizing and trivializing such, you know, terrible incident which we saw play out in Ozoro. So let's hear from your side.
Okay, it's unfortunate that my statement was interpreted out of proportion. It's quite unfortunate. However, it's a phase, it's a learning phase for everybody, because people can give meaning to whatever you say. But if you go on Google, if you go to the dictionary and you check very well for what I said, you discover that the sexual angle of it comes forth. So for one to say, oh, turn on is a sexual statement, I don't think it is right, because one would wonder, why would they pick just that part and give it that meaning? I was talking about official statement. How possible can an official statement sexually harass somebody? So that was not my context at all. But because it was wrongly interpreted, I thought it was that it is better I delete it, and that was why I took down that response.
So is this like an apology? Because a lot of people have been calling for your sack, saying that coming at that time, it was insensitive. There was no need to use that statement. Yes, the previous response may have triggered you, but why use it?
I personally do not think I need to apologize, because there was no harm intended. There was no harm intended. It's only when it is done with a deliberate intention to hurt anybody, that is when I should apologize. If people misinterpret what I've said, naturally it's their fault, because you would want to wonder, out of all the meaning attributed to this statement, why did you pick this one? So I did not, there was no intention to hurt anybody, so I don't see a reason why I should apologize. However, because it's interpreted out of context, that was why I had to take that, but that was not my intention, and my statement did not portray that in any way, because I was talking about an official statement. I was not even talking about myself. So I wonder why an official statement would want to turn anybody on like they're interpreting it.
Perhaps it's seen as in bad taste. Given the context of what has been playing out, I don't think it would have, because you cannot really defend it. Turn on averagely for anybody means what it means, even if it means 4 things. But given the context of what happened, I don't think that was really good for you as a person. And I think, if you ask me, you should apologize. But you say you're not going to apologize. But that's left to you. Because of the context here, you could have said it any other time, and it would have been waived. But saying it when this kind of incident has happened, I don't think it was quite responsible of you. Do you understand my own drift here?
Hence, that was the reason why it was deleted. And I think that sorts it out, because I had to delete it since people were misinterpreting it. However, if you go through the comment section, you discover that 70% of the response was very clear on my intention. They don't know me, but they had to explain it to them to understand that giving it this meaning is not right in any form. So everybody has rights to their opinion, and I also have right to my opinion. And the fact is that that was not my intention. But the fact that it's not my intention, I don't think I should apologize. However, I will still insist that because I was wrongly interpreted, misinterpreted, that was why I took that reply down.
All right. It's great you took it down. Let's bring in the President General of Ozoro Progress Union, Mr. Ashley Beckley. He joins us. Mr. Beckley, thank you so much for coming on the program. Mr. Beckley, can you hear us? Mr. Beckley? All right, Mr. Edafe, let me stay with you for a moment. So I'm happy you said that nobody was raped based on police record. Maybe I missed it in passing. How many people, how many girls have reported this kind of incident? And when you look back, I'm sure you've had conversation. How often does this happen in Ozoro? I'm sure the President General will be able to give us an answer, but I'm sure you're investigating. Is it a yearly thing? Is it 5 years? That's on one hand, the duration. And then the part of what needs to be done to aggressively deter this kind of barbaric behavior in the name of custom or tradition that is against every form of human rights in this sense?
I think there is a larger issue, but before I go there, let me quickly answer your first question. We were told yesterday that it's a festival that happens once in 3 years, either once in 3 years or once in 4 years, to pray for barren women seeking for fruit of the womb. And this is the first time we are recording this anywhere in Delta State. But there's something that we need to note. The aggression of our youth, the part that they are towing, because it seems that nobody is talking about it. These youths who went on doing these awful things to girls have sisters at home. Some of them have parents that are very young. So one would wonder why a youth would go about doing this to a fellow human being like them. And that goes back to what we are talking about, parental issues. Parents paying so much focus on the girl child and ignoring the boy child, forgetting that what comes out of the boy child has an effect on the girl child. So my message is to the youth, because if this was not recorded on camera, who knows, maybe we would not have been talking about it. Maybe we would not even have been aware that there was something like this happening. It may not even be the first time in some parts of the country, because we always hear, oh, there are festivals that women are not supposed to come out. Okay, should a woman come out? What is the solution? Is it to strip them naked in the glare of the public? The answer is clearly no. So I think at the top hierarchy of the Traditional Rulers Council, they should sit themselves together and address this issue so that it will not repeat itself again, because there are still some festivals that they will say women are not allowed to come out. So when women comes out, what is the way to address it? I don't think stripping them naked is the solution to that. And also, informing the police on time is very good, because if the police were informed, we would have done our deployment centered around that area. And these boys seeing police presence everywhere will not go about assaulting these girls. I think those are the two ways I believe that we should go forward.
All right, Mr. Edafe, just hold on for a moment. We'll come back to you as we begin to wind down. Let's bring in Mr. Safia Beckley. Mr. Beckley. Oh, dear. All right, let's stay back. Let's stay with you, Mr. Edafe. Bukola.
Yes, indeed. Mr. Edafe, you said that on record, there is no woman during that event that was raped. There was no, what was recorded was sexual assault. But I'm hoping that they will be charged based on what the law says about sexual assault and maybe not necessarily rape. I'd like you to speak to that.
Yes, you are absolutely correct. The law does not work on emotions. The law works on evidences available and statement of witnesses. For the fact that we've not had a witness who says I was raped, and the evidences are not showing that anybody was raped, sexual assault is what they will go in for.
Okay. Even though you have said that you took down the comment, it is unequivocal what your comment meant in context. You seem to be on the defensive now as far as that comment is concerned, but we hope that you'll have a rethink and indeed apologize for that comment, Mr. Edafe, especially in the context of, how it was rendered and in the circumstances around it as well. We hope that you'll, find grace to apologize to the Nigerian social media community and, of course, to the social media activist who also happens to be a woman. But we must thank you very much for coming on the program. We've been talking with Mr. Bright Edafe, police spokesperson, Delta Command.